You smell that? Something in here reeks. Oh wait, it's just her.
Todd Brannigan grabbed the 2-liter Coca-Cola off the counter and tilted it over Camille Carter's head. Brown foam erupted down her hair, her white blouse, her lunch. The break room exploded in laughter. Shelby Dawson clapped. Someone pulled out a phone. Camille didn't move. Coca-Cola dripped from her chin onto the table. Nobody spoke. She looked up. Her voice barely carried.
I'm sorry, did I do something wrong?
Todd leaned closer.
I've seen your file. Nothing special. So whose bed did you climb out of to climb in here?
More laughter. Chairs scraped. She let the Coca-Cola drip. She let them laugh. Because Camille Carter didn't need to fight back. She just needed them to keep going long enough to hang themselves. Let me take you back to the beginning. 3 weeks before that break room. 3 weeks before the Coca-Cola. Before the laughter, the stained blouse, and the moment that would end careers and start a federal investigation. Camille Carter woke at 5:45 on a Monday morning. The apartment was quiet. Simple. A 2-bedroom unit on the east side of Columbus, Ohio. Clean counters, second-hand couch, a small coffee maker gurgling on the kitchen counter. Nothing about this place screamed money. Nothing about it whispered power. That was the point. She stood in front of the bathroom mirror and pulled her braids into a low bun. She chose a white cotton blouse, pressed black slacks, flat shoes, comfortable enough to stand in all day. She packed her own lunch, turkey on wheat, an apple, a bottle of water. Her husband sat at the kitchen table, scrolling through his tablet. He wore a plain gray t-shirt and joggers. His watch caught the light. A Patek Philippe, the only visible crack in their careful disguise. He glanced up as she grabbed her keys. First day. Are you nervous? Excited, she said. He smiled. You sure you don't want me to? No. She kissed his forehead. I do this myself. That was the deal. Derek Carter nodded. He didn't push it. He understood. His wife had a master's degree in supply chain management. She'd graduated top of her class. She didn't need his name to open doors. She wanted to walk through them on her own feet. What she didn't say, what she kept folded tight inside her chest, was that she needed to prove it to herself. Not to him, not to the world, to the voice in her own head that sometimes asked whether people saw her or just saw his shadow. So she drove her Honda Civic to the outskirts of Columbus, past strip malls and gas stations, until she reached a gray concrete building with faded blue letters on the front. Apex Distribution Solutions. The parking lot smelled like diesel and hot asphalt. Trucks idled along the loading dock. A cigarette butt rolled across the pavement in the morning wind. Inside, fluorescent tubes cast a pale greenish light over rows of cubicles, scuffed linoleum, and a break room with a stained microwave and a vending machine that hummed like a dying refrigerator. This was not a glamorous place. This was a warehouse office hybrid, where 63 employees moved product, filed invoices, and watched the clock. Most of them were white. 3 were black. Camille made 4. She didn't know that yet. She would learn it soon enough. Her desk was supposed to be in the operations wing, near the logistics team. Instead, a woman from HR, Donna Pruitt, short hair, tight smile, walked her past the cubicles, past the conference room, down a narrow hallway lined with filing cabinets, and stopped at a folding table wedged between a supply closet and a fire extinguisher. "This is temporary," Donna said. She didn't make eye contact. "We are still figuring out space." The table wobbled when Camille set her bag down. She didn't complain. She opened her laptop and got to work. By noon on that first day, she'd already mapped 3 inefficiencies in the shipping workflow. By the end of the week, she'd drafted a full optimization report, 12 pages, color-coded, with projected cost savings of $200,000 annually. She emailed it to her supervisor, Todd Brannigan. Todd printed it out. He presented it at Monday's team meeting. He never mentioned Camille's name. Not once. When she raised her hand to speak, he looked right through her like she was glass. That was day 5. Between day 1 and day 5, smaller things piled up like gravel in a shoe. Shelby Dawson removed Camille from the team email chain. A coworker asked if she was the temp. Someone left a note on her desk. Supply closet key, since that's more your speed. Camille wrote everything down. Dates, times, names, exact words. She kept a small black notebook in her purse, and every evening she transferred the notes to a locked file on her personal laptop. She told no one, not yet. But someone noticed. Nina Holloway, a black woman in her late 40s who'd worked reception and admin at Apex for 12 years, caught Camille writing in that notebook one afternoon. She didn't say anything. She just walked past, paused, and gave one small nod. That nod said everything. I see you. I know. Keep going. Camille closed the notebook and slipped it back into her purse. Outside the window, the afternoon sun hit the parking lot and turned the asphalt into a shimmer of heat. Something was building. She could feel it in the air. Thick, electric, like the pressure before a summer storm. The second week started with silence, not the peaceful kind. The kind that wraps around you like wet cloth. Heavy, deliberate. The kind that tells you everyone already decided something about you before you walked through the door. Camille felt it the moment she stepped into the hallway Monday morning. Conversations stopped. Eyes darted. Shelby Dawson whispered something to a coworker near the copier, and both of them laughed without looking up. Camille set her bag on the wobbling folding table. She opened her laptop. She got to work. By 10 o'clock, she realized her access to the shared drive had been revoked. Every file she'd uploaded the previous week, the optimization report, the shipping analysis, the inventory audit, gone. Deleted. Her username had been removed from the logistics team folder entirely. She sent an email to IT. No response. She walked to Todd Brannigan's office. The door was open. He sat behind his desk with his boots propped up on the edge, a Columbus Blue Jackets mug steaming in his hand. The office smelled like burnt coffee and cheap cologne. "Todd, I've been locked out of the shared drive. Can you put in a request to restore my access?" He didn't look up. He sipped his coffee, let the silence stretch. "Todd? He glanced at her like she'd appeared from nowhere. "Oh, yeah, I'll get to it." He never did. By Wednesday, the isolation had a rhythm. No one sat near Camille in the break room. No one CC'd her on project updates. When she entered a room, people didn't leave. They just stopped talking. It was worse than hostility. It was erasure. She ate lunch alone at her folding table each day. Turkey on wheat, an apple. The hallway was always cold. The filing cabinets hummed with the vibration from the warehouse next door. On Thursday morning, she found something taped to her desk, a can of Coca-Cola. A yellow sticky note attached, block letters in black marker. Refreshments for the new girl. She recognized the handwriting. Shelby's. The same looping capital letters from the supply request forms Shelby filed every week. Camille peeled the note off. She put the can in the recycling bin. She took a photo of both items first. Date, time, location, logged in the notebook. That afternoon, she walked to the women's restroom on the second floor. She pushed open the door and stopped. On the mirror, someone had written in red lipstick. One word. A word that carried centuries of violence and hatred. The letters were large, uneven, and dripping slightly at the edges, like whoever wrote it did it fast and didn't care who saw. Beneath it, a crude drawing. A stick figure with exaggerated features, an arrow pointing to it labeled New Girl. The bathroom smelled like industrial soap and something floral, air freshener maybe, trying to cover up the staleness. The fluorescent tube above the mirror flickered. Camille's reflection stared back at her through the red letters. She didn't cry. Her stomach clenched. Her throat tightened. But she didn't cry. She pulled out her phone and photographed everything. 3 angles, close up on the handwriting, wide shot of the full mirror. She checked under the stalls. Empty. Then she reported it to Donna Pruitt in HR. Donna looked at the photos on Camille's phone. She pinched her lips together. She tilted her head. "That's unfortunate," Donna said. "I'll have maintenance clean it up." "That's it?" Camille asked. "Well, we don't know who did it. There aren't cameras in the restroom. Without proof, my hands are tied." Donna folded her arms. "And honestly, Camille, I have to ask, are you sure you're not reading too much into the general atmosphere here? Sometimes new employees misinterpret workplace humor." "Workplace humor," Camille repeated. "People here joke around. It's a blue-collar environment. Thick skin goes a long way." Camille stared at her. Donna stared back. Neither blinked. "Thank you for your time," Camille said. She stood up and walked out. The notebook entry that night was the longest yet. Friday came. The break room incident. 12 people were at lunch. The microwave hummed. Forks scraped styrofoam. The vending machine rattled through a cycle. Camille sat at the corner table with her packed lunch and her tablet, reviewing a logistics template she'd been building on her own time. Todd walked in. He was loud. He was always loud. He carried a 2-liter bottle of Coca-Cola in one hand and a bag of chips in the other. Shelby trailed behind him, laughing at something he'd said. He spotted Camille. His eyes narrowed. His mouth curled. "Well, well, look who's sitting in the good seats today." He dropped his chips on the counter. He twisted the cap off the Coca-Cola. The bottle hissed. Camille didn't look up. "Hey, I'm talking to you." He took 3 steps toward her table. His boots were heavy on the linoleum. "You know what I noticed? Every time you're in a room, it just feels off. Like something doesn't fit. Do you ever get that feeling?" Shelby laughed. A few others shifted in their seats. Greg Wallace, near the door, set his sandwich down slowly. "You know what fixes that?" Todd said. He lifted the bottle. Camille looked up just as he tilted it. 2 liters of dark, foaming Coca-Cola poured over her head. It hit her braids first, a hard, cold splash. Then it ran down her forehead, her eyebrows, into her eyes. It soaked her white blouse in seconds, turning it brown and translucent. It flooded her tablet screen. It pooled on her lunch tray, turning the bread soggy, drowning the apple. The carbonation hissed against her skin. The sugar stuck to her neck, her arms, the inside of her collar. The smell was sharp, sweet and chemical, like syrup left out in the sun. The room erupted. Shelby clapped both hands together and howled. 2 guys near the window high-fived. Someone, Camille never found out who, pulled out a phone and started recording. Another person muttered, "Oh my God," but did nothing. Did nothing at all. Todd stepped back. He held the empty bottle like a trophy. He shrugged. "Oops. Butterfingers." The laughter swelled. It bounced off the tile walls, the metal counters, the low ceiling. It filled the room like water fills a jar. Every corner, every crack. Camille sat perfectly still. Coca-Cola dripped from her chin onto the table. 1 drop. Then another. The sound was small and steady, like a clock ticking in an empty house. She looked up at Todd. Brown liquid streaked across her face. Her eyes were open, clear, dry. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "Did I do something wrong?" Todd leaned in, close enough that she could smell the coffee on his breath, the cologne on his collar. "I've seen your file. Nothing special." "So whose bed did you climb out of to climb in here?" The laughter cracked open again, louder, meaner. Chairs scraped the floor. Shelby wiped tears from her eyes. Greg Wallace stood halfway up from his seat. His mouth opened. Todd shot him a look, one look, and Greg sat back down. He stared at his plate. His hands were shaking. Near the doorway, a figure stood motionless. Nina Holloway. Her phone was in her right hand, held low against her hip. The red recording light blinked once. Twice. She didn't move. She didn't breathe. She just recorded. Camille pushed her chair back. It scraped against the floor, a sharp, clean sound that cut through the noise. She stood. Coca-Cola ran down her slacks, over her shoes, onto the linoleum. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She picked up her tablet, screen cracked, sticky, ruined, and her purse. She looked at Todd one more time. Then she walked out, down the hallway, past the filing cabinets, past Donna Pruitt's closed office door, into the women's restroom, the same one where the slur had been written 3 days ago. The mirror was clean now, but Camille could still see the ghost of those red letters under the fluorescent light. She locked the door, set her purse on the counter, gripped the edge of the sink with both hands. Her reflection stared back. Brown liquid matted her hair. Her blouse clung to her shoulders. Her mascara hadn't run. She'd stopped wearing it after the first week. Her hands trembled. Her breath came in short, tight pulls. She pressed her forehead against the cold glass of the mirror and closed her eyes. 3 seconds. She gave herself 3 seconds. Then she stood up straight, washed her face, dried her hands, pulled out her phone. 1 contact. 2 words. "Come now." She let the Coca-Cola drip. She let them laugh. Because Camille Carter didn't need to fight back. She just needed them to keep going long enough. To hang themselves. Camille drove home that Friday evening with the windows down. The summer air was warm and thick. It smelled like cut grass and gasoline. Her blouse was still damp. The Coca-Cola had dried into a sticky film on her skin. Her hair felt heavy, matted, wrong. She didn't turn on the radio. She just drove. Derek was waiting at the kitchen table when she walked in. He looked up from his tablet. His face changed the moment he saw her. The stained blouse, the flat expression, the way she set her purse down too carefully, like she was holding something fragile inside herself, and one wrong move would break it. Camille. She sat down across from him. She placed both hands flat on the table. She told him everything. The Coca-Cola, the laughter, Todd's words, the phone recording, the sticky note, the bathroom mirror, HR's shrug, all of it. Slow, steady, in order, like she was reading from a report. She didn't cry. Her voice didn't shake. But Derek knew his wife. He saw the tightness in her jaw, the stillness in her eyes, the way she pressed her fingertips into the wood like she was trying to anchor herself to something solid. Derek didn't interrupt. He listened with his whole body. His back straightened. His hand closed around his coffee mug, slowly, steadily, until the knuckles went pale. A muscle in his jaw jumped, once, twice. When she finished, the apartment was silent. The refrigerator hummed. The evening light came through the window in long, gold bars across the floor. "I'll shut it down tonight," he said. His voice was quiet, controlled. The kind of quiet that sits right on top of fury. "No." He looked at her. "Not yet," she said. "I want the full picture. I want every name, every incident, every dollar he's stolen. I want a case so clean that no lawyer, no union rep, no PR firm can spin it. Give me one more week. Derek held her gaze. His jaw worked. His fingers tapped the table once. He exhaled through his nose, a long, slow breath that carried the weight of everything he wanted to do and couldn't. Not yet. 1 week, he said. Then I walk in there by myself. That night, after Camille went to bed, Derek sat alone in the living room. The apartment was dark except for the blue glow of his phone. He called Patricia Edmonds, General Counsel of Horizon Global Industries. I need a full audit of Apex Distribution Solutions, he said. Employment records, HR complaints, expense reports, security footage, everything from the last 5 years. Quiet. No one at Apex knows. Patricia didn't ask why. She'd worked with Derek for 8 years. She knew that tone. You'll have it by Wednesday, she said. Monday morning, week 3. Camille walks back into Apex Distribution Solutions wearing a fresh blouse and the same flat shoes. Her notebook was in her purse. Her phone was fully charged. Her face gave away nothing. Todd was already in the operations wing, holding court. He leaned against the doorframe of his office with his arms crossed, watching Camille walk past. He didn't say anything. He just smiled. The kind of smile that says, I own this place and your entertainment. By 10 o'clock, Camille discovered that Todd had reassigned her 2 remaining projects to Shelby. Her name had been removed from the logistics planning board entirely. When she checked her email, she found a formal memo from Todd, CC'd to Donna Pruitt, placing her on a performance improvement plan. 3 weeks on the job. APIP. The memo cited failure to meet role expectations, inability to integrate with team culture, and repeated disruptions to workflow. Every line was a lie. Every word was a brick in the wall Todd was building around her. Camille read it twice. She saved it. She forwarded it to her personal email. She photographed the logistics board with her name erased. She logged it all. Then she did something Todd didn't expect. She went to the warehouse. Todd had assigned her inventory duty as punishment, the most tedious, low-status task in the building. Counting boxes, scanning barcodes, checking lot numbers against shipping manifests in a cold, windowless space that smelled like cardboard and machine oil. Camille didn't mind, because the warehouse was where Todd kept his secrets. It took her 2 days to find the pattern. Expense reports filed under vendor codes that didn't match any supplier in the system. Purchase orders for equipment that never arrived. Invoices from a company called Ridgeline Consulting, a company that, as far as Camille could tell, didn't exist. Todd had been skimming. Not a lot at first, a few hundred here, 1,000 there, but over 5 years, the numbers added up. Camille estimated somewhere north of $180,000 in fraudulent expenses, all approved by Todd, all overlooked by Donna Pruitt. She copied the files to a flash drive. She photographed the physical invoices. She cross-referenced every entry with the receiving logs she'd been forced to audit. The punishment had become the weapon. Wednesday evening. The audit from Patricia Edmonds landed in Derek's inbox. It confirmed everything Camille had found, and more. 3 previous employees of color had filed informal complaints against Todd. All 3 were counseled by Donna Pruitt. All 3 left within months. 2 signed NDAs in exchange for small severance packages. 1 simply disappeared from the records. No exit interview, no forwarding address, nothing. The pattern was clear. Todd targeted, Donna covered. The company looked away. Thursday night, late shift. The warehouse was nearly empty. Camille was in aisle 14, scanning pallets under the cold blue glow of the overhead LEDs. The concrete floor was smooth and cold beneath her shoes. Forklifts sat silent in the loading bay. The building creaked and settled around her. She heard his boots before she saw him. Todd appeared at the end of the aisle. He walked toward her slowly, hands in his pockets. He stopped 6 feet away, then 5, then 4. He positioned himself between Camille and the exit. Behind him, a pallet jack blocked the only other way out. "Working late," he said. It wasn't a question. Camille held her scanner steady. "Finishing the audit." "See, that's your problem." He took another step. "You don't know when to stop." The overhead lights buzzed. A pipe somewhere in the ceiling dripped. A faint metallic tap against concrete. Todd's shadow stretched long across the floor. "I've been here 15 years, he said. His voice dropped low, almost a whisper. 15 years. I built this operation. I trained every person on this floor. And then they send me you." He tilted his head. "You think your little notes scare me? Your little phone pictures? I am this place. And you're nothing. You're nobody. By the time I'm done, you won't even get a job mopping floors." He was close now, close enough that Camille could see the broken capillaries in his nose, the coffee stain on his collar, the dull gleam of sweat on his forehead. His breath was warm and sour. Camille didn't step back. Her heart hammered. Her fingers tightened around the scanner. But her face stayed still, stone still. "Are you finished?" she said. Something flickered in Todd's eyes. Surprise, maybe. Or the first faint tremor of doubt. He stepped aside, slowly, like he was granting permission she hadn't asked for. Camille walked past him without looking back. Her shoes clicked on the concrete, steady, even, unhurried. She turned the corner. She pushed through the exit door into the cool night air. What Todd didn't see, what he never thought to look for, was the security camera mounted in the upper corner of aisle 14. A small black dome with a tiny red light. It had recorded everything, every step, every word, every inch of space he closed between them. Friday morning. Camille met Greg Wallace in the parking lot before shift. He was leaning against his truck, arms crossed, eyes on the ground. "I can't sleep," he said. "Not since the break room. I keep seeing it." Camille waited. "He's done this before. You know that, right? 3 people before you, all gone, all quiet. He made them sign papers." Greg's voice cracked. "I watched it happen every time. I never said a word." "You're saying something now," Camille said. Greg nodded. He pulled a folded paper from his jacket pocket. A handwritten statement. Names, dates, incidents. Everything he'd witnessed in 4 years under Todd Brannigan. Camille took it. "Thank you, Greg." "What are you going to do?" he asked. She looked at the building. Gray concrete, blue letters. The morning sun hit the windows and turned them into rectangles of white fire. "My husband is coming on Monday," she said, "and he's bringing lawyers." Monday morning, 8:45. The parking lot at Apex Distribution Solutions was half full. Trucks idled at the loading dock. A thin fog hung over the asphalt, catching the early light and turning it silver. The air smelled like exhaust and damp concrete. Inside, the mood was electric. Word had spread Friday afternoon. Someone from the parent company was visiting. No one knew the details. No one even knew what Horizon Global Industries looked like at the top. Derek Carter had built his empire quietly. No magazine covers, no keynote speeches, no flashy social media presence. Just results, acquisitions, and a network of companies that most employees never traced back to one man. Todd Brannigan had spent the weekend preparing. He arrived early. Fresh shirt, pressed khakis. He'd printed new performance reports, edited, of course, and stacked them neatly on his desk. He rehearsed talking points in the bathroom mirror. Revenue growth, efficiency metrics, team leadership. This was his moment. He was sure of it. The promotion he'd been passed over for twice was finally within reach. All he had to do was impress the suit from corporate. Shelby had organized a welcome spread in the conference room. Fresh coffee, pastries from the bakery downtown, a printed agenda with Todd's name at the top. She even put flowers on the table, yellow tulips in a glass vase that caught the fluorescent light. "You think they're bringing good news?" she asked Todd. "They better be," he said. He straightened his collar. "I've earned it." At 9:15, a black SUV pulled into the parking lot. It parked near the front entrance, not in a visitor spot, but directly beside the curb, like it belonged there, like it owned the ground beneath it. 2 doors opened, then 2 more. Derek Carter stepped out first. Dark navy suit, white shirt, no tie. His shoes were polished to a mirror finish. His posture was straight, shoulders back, chin level. He moved like a man who didn't need to rush because the world waited for him, not the other way around. Patricia Edmonds walked beside him. Gray blazer, leather briefcase, reading glasses perched on her head. Behind them, 2 more attorneys from Horizon's legal team and 1 private security consultant, broad-shouldered, silent, hands clasped in front. They entered through the front door. The receptionist looked up. Her smile started automatically, the trained corporate greeting. Then it faltered. She looked at Derek, looked at Patricia, looked at the security consultant. Her hand drifted toward the phone on her desk but stopped midair. "Can I help?" "Derek Carter, CEO of Horizon Global Industries," Patricia said. "We're expected." They weren't, but no one was going to say that. The group walked through the main floor. Heads turned. Keyboards stopped clicking. A coffee mug paused halfway to someone's lips. The whisper started at the reception desk and rippled outward through the cubicles like wind across a wheat field. Todd saw them coming. He squared his shoulders. He stepped forward from his office doorway, arm extended, smile wide. The biggest smile anyone at Apex had ever seen on his face. "Welcome to Apex, Todd Brannigan, Regional Operations Manager." His hand hung in the air. "We've been looking forward to—" Derek didn't take it. He didn't even slow down. His eyes had already moved past Todd, past the cubicles, past Shelby and her tulips, past the conference room and the fresh coffee. He was looking down the narrow hallway, past the filing cabinets, to the folding table wedged beside the supply closet. Camille stood there, quiet, still, a faint brown stain on the wall behind her, left over from a second, smaller Coca-Cola incident earlier that week. Her hands were at her sides, her face was calm. Derek walked straight to her. Every eye in the building followed him. 63 employees. Dead silent. He reached her. He put one arm around her shoulders. He kissed her forehead. His voice was soft, but carried in the silence like a stone dropped into still water. "Hey, baby, you okay?" The air left the room. Todd's smile didn't fall. It collapsed, like a building losing its foundation, 1 floor at a time. His extended hand dropped to his side. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. Shelby's face went white. Her fingers gripped the edge of the conference room table. Greg Wallace exhaled, a long, shaking breath, and closed his eyes. Nina Holloway pressed her back against the wall near the break room door. Her lips moved without sound. "Thank God." Donna Pruitt reached for her desk phone, then pulled her hand back, then reached again. She didn't know who to call. She didn't know what was coming. But she knew, they all knew, that something had just shifted beneath their feet. Todd stammered. "Wait, you're her." Derek turned. He looked at Todd the way you look at something small and broken on the floor. "My wife." His voice was quiet. The woman you poured Coca-Cola on. The woman you cornered in a warehouse at night. The woman whose career you tried to destroy. He paused. Let each word land. In a company that I own. Todd's face drained of color. His lips parted, but nothing came out. For the first time in 15 years at Apex Distribution Solutions, Todd Brannigan had absolutely nothing to say. And the room, every desk, every cubicle, every corner, was silent enough to hear the fluorescent lights buzz. Derek didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He turned from Todd and faced the room. Every employee on the floor was standing now, some at their desks, some in doorways, some frozen mid-step in the hallway. No one moved. No one breathed loud enough to hear. "My name is Derek Carter," he said. "I am the founder and CEO of Horizon Global Industries. Apex Distribution Solutions is a subsidiary of my company. That means every desk in this building, every truck in that lot, every paycheck you deposit, that comes from me." He let the silence hold for 3 seconds. "Over the past month, my wife, Camille Carter, has worked at this facility as a logistics coordinator. During that time, she has been harassed, humiliated, physically assaulted, professionally sabotaged, and racially targeted. She reported these incidents to your HR department. Nothing was done." He looked at Donna Pruitt. Donna's face was the color of old paper. Her hand was still hovering near her phone. "I am also aware," Derek continued, "of fraudulent expense reports totaling over $180,000, falsified performance reviews, suppressed complaints, and a pattern of racial discrimination going back at least 4 years, involving multiple former employees who were pressured into silence." Patricia Edmonds stepped forward. She opened her briefcase on the nearest desk and spread 3 folders across it. Her voice was clipped, precise, and carried the weight of a woman who had done this many times before. "We have video evidence of the assault in this break room. We have security footage from warehouse aisle 14 showing physical intimidation. We have written testimony from current and former employees. We have documentation of falsified vendor invoices and fictitious consulting contracts." She closed one folder and looked directly at Todd. "Mr. Brannigan, your employment is terminated effective immediately. For cause." Todd's mouth opened. "Now hold on. You can't just—" "It's done," Derek said. He nodded to the security consultant. The consultant stepped forward, calm, professional. He extended one hand toward Todd, not grabbing, not threatening, just directing, the way you guide someone toward a door they don't want to walk through. "Your badge," Patricia said. Todd's hand went to the lanyard around his neck. His fingers fumbled. The clip stuck. He yanked it once, twice. The lanyard snapped. He held the badge out. The consultant took it. This is a setup," Todd said. His voice cracked at the edges. "She came here to trap me. This whole thing was documented," Patricia said. "Every incident, every dollar, every word. You built this case yourself, Mr. Brannigan. We just collected it." Todd looked around the room, searching for an ally, a sympathetic face, anything. He found nothing. Shelby stared at the floor. Greg looked away. The break room crowd, the same people who had laughed, clapped, and recorded, sat frozen in their chairs with their eyes down. The security consultant walked Todd through the main floor, past the cubicles, past the reception desk, past the yellow tulips Shelby had arranged that morning. Every step echoed on the linoleum. No one spoke. No one even whispered. The front door opened. Sunlight flooded the entrance. Todd stepped outside. The door closed behind him. 15 years. Gone in 15 minutes. Patricia turned back to the room. "Shelby Dawson." Shelby's head snapped up. Her face was wet. Your involvement in the harassment of Mrs. Carter, including targeted exclusion, defamatory communications, and direct participation in the break room assault, has been thoroughly documented. Your employment is also terminated, effective immediately. Shelby didn't argue. She picked up her bag with shaking hands and walked out without a word. Donna Pruitt. Patricia's voice didn't soften. You are suspended, effective today, pending a full investigation into your handling, or deliberate mishandling, of discrimination complaints at this facility. You will be escorted to collect your personal belongings. Do not access any company systems. Donna stood. Her chair rolled back and hit the wall with a soft thud. She clutched her cardigan closed at the collar. She didn't look at anyone. 2 additional employees, identified in the investigation as active participants in the harassment, were terminated before noon. By 1 o'clock, the office was half empty and completely silent. Camille stood near the window in the conference room. The yellow tulips sat untouched on the table. The pastries were cold. The coffee was still full. Derek walked in and stood beside her. He didn't say anything. He just put his hand over hers on the table. Outside, Todd Brannigan sat in his truck in the parking lot. He hadn't started the engine. He stared through the windshield at the gray building with the faded blue letters. Then he drove away. Slowly. Like a man who had just realized the road ahead was very, very long. And very empty. The story didn't end when Todd's truck pulled out of the parking lot. It was just beginning. Tuesday morning, Camille walked into the Columbus Division of Police with a manila folder 3 inches thick. Inside, time-stamped photographs, printed emails, Nina's video, warehouse security footage on a flash drive, Greg Wallace's written statement, the fraudulent expense records, and her own notebook. 31 pages of handwritten entries covering every incident from day 1. Detective Aaron Sullivan opened the folder. He read the first page, then the second. Then he closed it and looked at Camille. How long did this go on? 3 weeks for me, she said. 4 years for everyone else. Sullivan assigned 2 investigators to the case by that afternoon. The charges came fast. The Columbus City Attorney's Office filed criminal complaints against Todd Brannigan on 3 counts: assault in the 4th degree for the Coca-Cola incident, criminal menacing for the warehouse intimidation, and fraud for the falsified expense reports totaling over $180,000. Todd was arrested at his home on a Wednesday morning. He came to the door in sweatpants and a wrinkled t-shirt. His lawn hadn't been mowed. His mailbox was full. The neighbors watched from their porches as 2 officers walked him to the cruiser. He didn't resist. He didn't say a word. He just stared at the ground, like it might open up and swallow him. The same week, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission opened a parallel investigation into Apex Distribution Solutions. Federal investigators arrived on Thursday, 2 women and 1 man in dark suits carrying boxes of document requests. They spent 3 days in the building, interviewing employees, reviewing files, and photographing the hallway where Camille's folding table still sat beside the supply closet. Patricia Edmonds cooperated fully. She turned over every internal audit finding, every suppressed complaint, every NDA signed by former employees under pressure. Horizon Global Industries issued a public statement that Friday. Derek's name was at the bottom, but the words had Patricia's precision. The company acknowledged systemic failures at Apex Distribution Solutions. It committed to a full restructuring of management, an independent review of HR practices across all subsidiaries, and a zero-tolerance policy for discrimination and retaliation. Then the media arrived. A reporter from WCMH, Columbus's NBC affiliate, broke the story first. The headline ran across the bottom of the screen during the 6 o'clock news. CEO's wife goes undercover at his own company. What she found will shock you. By morning, the story had been picked up by national outlets. Social media caught fire. The video Nina recorded in the break room, 12 seconds of Todd pouring Coca-Cola over Camille's head while a room full of people laughed, was viewed 4 million times in 48 hours. The comments section became a flood. Thousands of people sharing their own stories, their own Todds, their own break rooms, their own moments of silence when someone should have spoken up. The trial began 6 weeks later. Judge Ruth Coleman presided. Courtroom 4B, Franklin County Court of Common Pleas. The gallery was packed. Reporters in the front rows, community members behind them, a sketch artist in the corner. 2 cameras were permitted outside the building. Todd sat at the defense table in a borrowed suit. His attorney, a public defender named Lewis Grant, looked tired before the first witness was called. The prosecution opened with Nina's video. The courtroom screen lit up with the image of Todd tilting the bottle, the brown foam, Camille's face, the laughter, the clapping. 12 seconds that played like 12 minutes. A woman in the gallery pressed her hand over her mouth. A juror in the back row closed his eyes. Next came the warehouse footage. Black and white, grainy but clear. Todd walking down aisle 14. Stopping in front of Camille. Closing the distance. His mouth moving. The timestamp running in the corner. 9:47 p.m. The footage showed everything. His position, his posture, the way he blocked the exit, the way Camille's hand tightened around the scanner. Greg Wallace took the stand on the second day. He wore a tie for the first time in years. His hands trembled on the witness box. He described the culture Todd had built, the jokes that weren't jokes, the looks that were warnings, the silence that was enforced. He named the 3 employees who came before Camille, people he'd watched leave one by one without ever saying a word to stop it. His voice broke when the prosecutor asked why. "Because I was afraid," he said. "Because I told myself it wasn't my problem. Because it was easier to look at my plate than to look at what was happening across the room." He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. "I have to live with that." 3 former Apex employees testified on the third day. They had been found by Patricia's investigators, 2 still in Ohio, 1 in Indiana. Each told the same story with different details. The targeting, the isolation, the meeting with Donna Pruitt where nothing happened, the severance offer with the NDA attached, the quiet exit, the shame that followed them for years. Todd's defense tried to reframe the narrative. Lewis Grant argued that the Coca-Cola incident was a prank. Poor taste, sure, but not assault. He called it a personality conflict. He suggested that Camille had entered Apex with an agenda, that her connection to Derek made the entire case a setup. Judge Coleman listened. She let the defense make its case. She was patient and thorough. But during sentencing, her patience ended. "Mr. Brannigan," she said, looking at Todd over the rim of her glasses, "the law does not care whether your victim's husband is a CEO or a janitor. It does not bend based on who someone is married to. It bends based on what was done to them." She paused. And what was done to Mrs. Carter, and to the individuals who came before her, was systematic, deliberate, and cruel. The sentence: 18 months in state prison, 3 years supervised probation, mandatory completion of racial sensitivity and workplace conduct training, 200 hours of community service, a permanent restraining order barring contact with Camille Carter and all former Apex employees who testified. Todd stood motionless as the sentence was read. His attorney put a hand on his shoulder. Todd didn't react. He stared straight ahead at the wall behind the judge's bench, a blank beige wall with nothing on it. Shelby Dawson was sued in civil court by Camille the following month. She settled out of court for an undisclosed amount. 3 weeks after the settlement, her new employer discovered the case and terminated her. Donna Pruitt was fired after the EEOC investigation concluded. She faced civil penalties for enabling a hostile work environment and was barred from holding any HR position in a federally contracted company. Apex Distribution Solutions underwent a complete restructuring. New management, new policies. An independent ombudsman installed to handle complaints. Mandatory annual training for every employee. The building looked the same from the outside. Gray concrete, faded blue letters, trucks at the loading dock. But inside, everything had changed. 6 months later, the folding table in the hallway was gone. In its place, a proper office. Glass door, nameplate on the wall. Camille Carter, Director of Operations. She'd earned it. Not because of Derek, not because of the trial or the headlines, or the 4 million views on Nina's video. She earned it because in the weeks after the restructuring, when Apex Distribution Solutions was bleeding staff and scrambling to rebuild, Camille was the one who stayed. She was the one who rewrote the shipping protocols, redesigned the warehouse workflow, and rebuilt the logistics system from the ground up. The same system Todd had taken credit for. The same system she'd optimized in her first week, back when no one bothered to learn her name. The staff who remained respected her, not out of fear, not out of obligation, because they watched her work. They saw her stay late. They saw her eat lunch in the break room, the same break room, and never once mention what happened there. Nina Holloway sat at the front desk now, office manager. She ran the building with quiet authority and a memory that missed nothing. New hires learned fast that Nina didn't tolerate whispers, side eyes, or break room politics. Not anymore. Not ever again. Greg Wallace led the warehouse team. He'd volunteered for the company's new mentorship program, pairing senior staff with new employees to make sure no one sat alone at a folding table in a hallway. He told Camille once that he slept better now. Not great, but better. Horizon Global Industries used the Apex turnaround as a case study. Every subsidiary received new anti-discrimination protocols modeled on the reforms Camille helped design. An anonymous reporting hotline was installed company-wide. Dare presented the initiative at a national conference on corporate culture. He stood at the podium, looked out at the audience, and said one thing that made the room go quiet. I didn't do this because Camille is my wife. I did it because it was right. But I'll be honest, knowing it was my wife made me realize how many people go through this without anyone in their corner. That's the part that keeps me up at night. Camille declined most media requests. She didn't want to be a symbol. She didn't want to be a headline. She wanted to do the work. But she did write one thing, a personal essay, published in a major outlet. It wasn't long, 1,200 words. She didn't write about revenge. She didn't write about Todd or Shelby or Donna. She wrote about the folding table, about the hallway, about what it feels like to sit in a space where everyone has silently agreed that you don't belong. One paragraph near the end read, "The Coca-Cola dried, the stain came out, but the memory of 12 people laughing while it happened, that doesn't wash off. That stays. And it stays not because of the cruelty of one man, but because of the silence of everyone else." The essay was shared over 200,000 times. On a Tuesday morning in October, Camille woke at 5:45. The apartment was quiet. The same 2-bedroom unit on the east side of Columbus. Clean counters, the coffee maker gurgling, sunlight just starting to reach the kitchen window. Eric was at the table, tablet in one hand, a spatula in the other. He was making eggs. Badly. The pan was smoking. He grinned at her like a man who had not yet realized the toast was burning. "Morning, Director." She laughed. A real laugh. The kind that starts in the chest and fills the room. She poured herself coffee. She sat down across from him. She opened her laptop and reviewed the morning's operational reports. Outside, the sky was wide and clear and impossibly blue. The apartment still looked simple, still looked modest, but something about it felt different now. Lighter. Like a window had been opened that no one could close again. So here's my question for you. If you saw someone being treated the way Camille was, not the Coca-Cola, not the big dramatic moment, but the small stuff, the exclusion, the jokes, the quiet erasure, the sticky note on the desk, the meeting where someone takes your idea and puts their name on it. Would you be a Greg, the one who sees everything but says nothing? Or would you be a Nina, the one who hits record? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to hear it. And if this story made you feel something, if it made your jaw tighten, or your chest heavy, or your fist close just a little, then hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe, because we've got more stories like this coming. Stories about people who were underestimated, people who were overlooked, people who refused to disappear. Remember this: your worth is not determined by how others treat you. It's determined by how you carry yourself when they try to bring you down. Camille Carter walked into that break room soaked in Coca-Cola and walked out with her dignity intact. That's the kind of strength no one can take from you. I'll see you in the next one. Stay strong, stay kind, and never, ever let anyone tell you where you belong.